Today marks a special day. Join me in congratulating Eddie Howe, 3 years at Newcastle United. Today is his anniversary. It's a special day. And of course, on his special day, a newspaper article's got to come out with an ill-timed article and just to kind of rub it in a little bit. That although things have turned around for Eddie Howe, the reality is that things aren't sunshine and rainbows at Newcastle. We've got to remember, before the last two results against Chelsea and Arsenal, this season was just going in the wrong direction. I think for the first time during Eddie Howe's tenure, there has been legitimate pressure on the manager. There's been pressure on the players not performing. You're not going to sack the players if they're not playing well. You're not going to sack the board if things haven't went well. It's all going to be pointed down to the manager, and Eddie Howe knows himself that this is a big season for him. We don't have European football, which means that we had to get European football this season. And before our big cup win against Chelsea and an even bigger win against Arsenal in the league, there has been a lot of pressure on him. And an article came out today stating on the record, the Guardian Sport has stated that Jose Mourinho wants the Newcastle United job if Eddie Howe leaves St James's Park. Mourinho has understood to be reaching out to intermediates, asking to be kept informed of any developments. We'll talk a lot about Mourinho because straight away, before you even look into the current article, historically has a massive connection to Bobby Robson, has a massive connection to Newcastle United as a result, and deep down, almost feels like a perfect fit. You know, Mourinho, he loves Bobby Robson. He's done so much as being like the guy below Bobby Robson at one point. It's almost like the passing of the torch, him coming to Newcastle. But the question straight away, before we talk about anything to do with that article, is Jose Mourinho past it? Is he finished? Has his best days been behind him now? Historically, Mourinho has won silverware at every single club except from Tottenham. He didn't win at Tottenham. Now, to be fair, on his Tottenham job, he actually got Tottenham to a Carabao Cup final, and then Tottenham sacked him before the Carabao Cup final, which I never understood that sacking. They sacked him before the final, despite Mourinho getting them to that final. But every other club he has won silverware at. That is a fact, and that is something that Newcastle do have to look into. If, let's say, if things were to go wrong this season, Eddie Howe was to then be replaced, it's something that, I mean, yeah, I'd be kind of intrigued to see what people think about that. But straight away, in terms of the developments now, Mourinho is basically on standby. The manager is on standby. If an opportunity opens up for him, he's basically taught everyone that Newcastle United is a job he is heavily interested in. Now, as for the current situation with Eddie Howe, I mean, we just had two positive results. Eddie Howe, long-term, is the guy that you want to have. Now, personally for me, I don't think Mourinho is a long-term manager. I think he's a successful manager on a short-term basis. So basically, he doesn't have a sell-by date more than 3 years. In fact, Eddie Howe has had 3 years today at Newcastle. Mourinho, just last 3 years at basically any club. And obviously, you guys are fully aware, watching Mourinho's antics. He's a nightmare on the pitch and he's a nightmare in press conferences. And he's a character. He's a big character. He's a massive name. Yes, he's a good manager, but he's also someone that can take a lot of attention. He gets himself sent off quite a lot. You would have thought in the dressing room he's probably not going to be the best man-to-man manager out there. But Mourinho, historic, as I just said, is an extremely successful manager. And Newcastle United is a club that is depleted of trophies. We are starving for trophies. Mourinho, historic, is a guy that has always won trophies. So, yeah, again, it's kind of a balance there that if you want to potentially win someone, he's the sort of manager that can do that. But I think you guys, and I think myself, and I think a lot of other people can say now that if you had the choice of what you would do, you would stick with Eddie Howe. Of course you would. You would stick with the guy that has already done a good job for Newcastle. I think this season, again, I must stress this season's a big one for him, because this is going to be a defining one, especially when I would have thought to the back end of this season, quite a few jobs are going to open up. And if Newcastle haven't got European football, if Newcastle haven't got to the stages we want to get to this season, I still stand by. If we don't get European football, I honestly think the playoff will sack Eddie Howe. And that's my honest, truthful thoughts on it. I don't think he'll survive 2 years without European football. And you've got to remember, Newcastle United now, this isn't the Newcastle United of old. Newcastle United now, we have the 9th most expensive squad in world football. That's 7th in the Premier League. So outside the big 6, we have the most expensive squad in the league. So therefore, we should be getting top 7 based on that. I know that's not how football works, but based on that information, Newcastle United has to be getting a European spot. Not to mention, depending on how English teams do in Europe, 8 could open up for a European spot. So top 8 is going to be quite big. And this season, Newcastle just hasn't been anywhere near that. We're being a mid-table club. We just have been. We haven't been playing well. Yes, Arsenal was an unbelievable performance, but it was a one good performance out what has been quite a lacklustre season in the Premier League. We had a good game against City and a good game against Arsenal. That's all we've had this season. Every single hour match, we just haven't been the Newcastle as old. And Newcastle as a club and Eddie Howe as a manager has to then look at and figure out why that is the case. Nottingham Forest this weekend is a huge game. Now, Forest is a team that has been unbelievable this season. My personal team of this season, I think Forest has been the standout team this season in the league. I can't believe they're in the top 4. I could not believe it. They've done such a good job. And with Newcastle's ex-players as well, Eddie Anderson, Chris Wood, Matt Sells, even Matt Sells has been unbelievable for them this season. Now, Newcastle, we've got to get a result on Sunday. We cannot afford to go to City Ground to lose the game. And not just to lose the game, to basically our ex-players that we deem not good enough to play for us. We can't lose that game. We've got to start to kill Forest's confidence off. Obviously, Brighton's above us. Brentford, I'm pretty sure, is above us. We've got quite a few teams above us. So Newcastle could definitely get themselves in there. I would have thought teams like Aston Villa, your Manchester United, even your Chelsea's and some of your bigger clubs, once you get into the last stages of European competition, once injuries prop up, once suspensions prop up, again, Newcastle, we haven't got the excuse of European football. So again, we've got to be getting ourselves in there. And it's a massive game on Sunday for Eddie Howe. We've got to get a result. Otherwise, that good week we just had, we're then back to square one again. We've then lost the game where the reality was we probably should have got at least a point in it. So it's a massive occasion. And I wanted to talk about it because Mourinho wants the job. Now, I do love Jose Mourinho as a manager. I do love him. I love him as a character. I love the guy in terms of what he can do. But truthfully, do I think he's past it? I think it's still harsh to say that, because even when he's at Roma, won the Conference League, got to a Europa League final, and that was only a couple of years ago. He got to major European finals 2-3 years ago. Like, he's still done it recently. Now, that's still recent. So again, when people say he's past it, I still think it's harsh to say he's past it. I honestly think it is. Jose Mourinho, I think, would have 3 years at Newcastle, probably even less than what Eddie Howe's had at Newcastle. But in those couple of years, he's the sort of manager that can win. So where he could win a Carabao Cup, he could win an FA Cup. He's just that sort of manager where he's able to get up over the finish line. He's got one of the best cup final records in world football. The guy has won so many finals. He just knows how to do it. And that's something that he does have over Eddie Howe. And one thing he does have over Eddie Howe as well, Jose Mourinho being such a decorated manager and having historically been at so many clubs and managed so many good players, I mean the world's best players as well, he has quite a good pedigree. He has a lot of contacts. He's able to probably get better players in, and that's something again that he does have over Eddie Howe. And the PAF's got all this money. Jose Mourinho has got all those contacts. He has better contacts than Eddie Howe. So something that is a bit detriment towards our manager that Mourinho has over him. It's just the fact that he has so many contacts. He's probably able to get better players in. Players will want to play for Newcastle because Mourinho is the manager, which I would also argue is a bad thing, because players then aren't joining Newcastle because they care about the club. They're joining because they want to be managed by Mourinho. So once he gets sacked, the players are going to stop playing for Newcastle. So again, there's a lot of positives and negatives that kind of sway both ways, and we just had to see what happens along the way. But I thought this was a fascinating topic to talk about, because again, we got to look at the facts this season. We haven't played well until last week. So let's say last week, then over the next couple of weeks, once the international break comes back around, then if Newcastle fall off again, if we fall off again, then the questions will come out. The questions will come out towards our club, they'll come out towards our manager. And it's something that, even though it's Eddie Howe's anniversary, he has to know deep down, managers don't tend to last too much longer than 3 years. So Eddie Howe has to make sure that he wants to continue being Newcastle's manager. We've got to make sure results matter. Results out on the pitch have to go our way, and we have to make sure this season we get European football. But that was kind of the main topics I want to talk about. What do you guys think? I'm going to assume basically all is going to say, obviously we should stick with Eddie Howe, which of course I agree with that. But let's say if things were to go wrong this season. Let's say Eddie Howe unfortunately isn't our manager next season. Would you guys want Mourinho, or would you want someone else? I'm fascinated by that. Now, I do back Mourinho a lot. I do back him to be a good short-term manager, but he never lasts long-term. So it depends whether the PAF's willing to have someone on the short-term basis, which, due to the fact that we have such a long-term project, doesn't seem logical. But then again, Then again, it depends who's available at that point. So let me know your opinions down below, guys. I'm intrigued to see what you think, and I think it's a fascinating topic to talk about. The Guardian, though. Oh, that Guardian was horrible today, releasing that on his anniversary. How can you do that, Eddie Howe, on his anniversary? But again, despite it being a special day for Eddie Howe, he has to know as a manager, not everything lasts forever. So he has to make sure, in terms of his success at Newcastle, he has to continue doing well. But he's had an unbelievable job so far, Eddie Howe. We do back him. This is not a video of Eddie Howe. Of course, it's not. We all back him as a manager. We all back him to do well. However, it is a claim that Mourinho's made. Is a claim that he's made, according to the Guardian. Now, Mourinho, to be fair, in his in a press conference, did actually say he wanted to come back to the Premier League. But interestingly, in his press conference, he said that he wanted a harder job. He wanted a bottom half Premier League club. Now, I know Newcastle haven't been that great this season, but I still wouldn't class as a bottom half club. Then again, I must stress the history of Bobby Robson. The two just matched. It just matches, and then I feel like if Mourinho was to retire without ever managing Newcastle, it does feel like a what-if scenario. It just feels like something that has to happen at some point, but whether you guys believe it should happen or not is another question. But take care anyway. Overnight stay vlog and the vlog from Nottingham will come out in the next couple of days. We've got a charity match tonight with the Armed Forces, so that vlog will come out tomorrow. So stay tuned. Take care. Appreciate you watching, and we'll see you all in the next one.